Okay, my friends, here it is, the video that is going to show you 5 techniques to utilize this beautiful gift of nature that is happening all around you right now, and that is the falling leaves. So I'm going to say some things about it, and then I'm going to take you out into the garden and show you these 5 techniques utilizing footage from several different seasons. So, if we wish to understand why these leaves are so valuable, we have to look at what the tree is. The tree is a marvel of mining. The roots go deep into the earth and mine the minerals that the tree needs. It then stores them in its leaves over the summer, and then at the fall time, the leaves fall to the ground, where they immediately begin the decomposition process by the community of microorganisms that exist in the soil. And leaves are the favorite food of the earthworm. And so year after year like this, mining and dropping, the soil becomes nice and rich and fertile. Nobody ever has to fertilize the forest. Now, I do want you to understand there are some differences between the leaves. You see here, these are oak leaves of various varieties, and they're thick and full of carbon, and they got a glossy look to them. These will take the longest amount of time to break down. So do the sycamore leaves, big, thick, and glossy. They take a long time to break down. As opposed to the maple leaves. Do you see how thin these leaves are, guys? Nice and thin, you can almost see through them. These are gonna break down a lot faster. Now, I'm gonna show you techniques to utilize any of these, but the technique number 5 is the way to utilize the oak leaves. It's also my favorite method, and it's also the ideal method I'd recommend if you have raised beds or containers. So, let us get into it. Okay, my friends, first step is to gather you up a bunch of leaves, and I recommend getting way more than you think that you will need. They put them to the street like this so we can utilize them. Now, here is the first method. The simplest method of all is to just lay down about a foot of leaves onto the garden bed, and then I like to place the actual bags on top, and then we will use the leaves in the bag as a mulch come springtime. But here we are, late winter, early spring, and you can see not much decomposition has happened because these are all oak leaves. However, it has nourished the earthworms. Look at all those earthworm holes. The worms love this stuff. And here's the thing, guys, when we go to plant into this method of thick mulch, we plant into the ground underneath the leaves. So we just scoot it aside and plant into the ground. You can see here a couple of months later, everything is doing really well because the leaves keep the soil moist, and they provide good amount of vitamins and minerals and everything that the plants need. So here are these peppers ready to be dried, smoked, dried, and ground into a smoked paprika. Now here is method 2. So here we're going to take the more like the fast to digest ones, like the maple leaves, and we're going to compost them. And when we do that, we're going to layer them with some of the greens from the garden. And we're just going to put layer of greens, layer of leaves, layer of green, layer of leaves. And this is the slow compost method. So we're not ever going to turn this pile. We're just going to allow it all to break down normally and naturally. However, we'll help it along with a little bit of this, oh yeah, look at that natural labs right there. So we're going to pour that on, and that's going to help the breakdown process. Also, the urine can very much so help with this process as the nitrogen speeds it up. Now, here we are a couple of months later, and we can see that with this slow composting method, the bottom has turned into high quality compost. This is going to be rich in the microbes, and you see the top is just still leaves, but right here it is happening. So this is going to be everything we need for some good quality aerated compost teas. Next method, which is also one of my favorites, is going to be, here's 2 methods in one actually. You can just rake them into the pile of the bed that you want them to be and let them smother everything out and then plant into them in the springtime. However, I like to do it the Viking way, a little bit more involved, but it's well worth it because here we are going to light the leaves, and you see how we're using the wind direction to drag it across the pile. But this is a quick flash burn. This is only maybe 20 minutes, and it doesn't really even get that hot. It just kills all the weed seeds, kills the grass, and also you're left with this nice, nourishing ashes that go right into the soil. So we're going to make sure that all of the flame is out, and then once we're sure there's no more fire, we're going to rake more leaves on top of it. And that is going to really make sure that we got a nice, rich source of nutrients for the springtime, and also a home for the earthworms. all winter long. So this is done in the fall time. We're going to let this sit all winter, just like this. So these beds now have the burned earth underneath so that there's no weeds or anything, and we got the ash fertilizer. And now they're going to sit like this all winter long. And in the springtime, we will just plant directly in to these piles just like this, into the earth below them. So here's method 4. Now, if you have an abundance of manures, especially chicken manure that can typically be very hot, this is a good method because we are going to compost it all. We're going to use the high nitrogen in the chicken manure to help with the decomposition of the leaves. So you see here we are layering them. This is important. We're layering them into a pile about 10% by volume of the chicken manure, and then 90% leaves, like that, because it's going to all sort of break down. The ratio isn't really that important. You just want to make sure that you get it all in there and you're getting it sort of wet in between, because you don't want a dry compost pile. But do you see how we're sort of spreading it out, putting a thin layer of chicken manure, then putting a layer of leaves? Now we're building this pile to stay all winter long. We can help it along. Guys, look, this is how you winterize your JDOM liquid fertilizers. Remember, you drain it so that there's only about 1/3 of the liquid left. We can pour this onto the top of this pile, and this is going to help everything speed up. And we can also put some labs on there like you see me doing right now. We can also put the urea, the urine on there. All of that kind of stuff helps with the decomposition process, because remember, nitrogen is the gasoline for the bacteria. And so we want to keep it covered. This is very important, guys, that we keep it covered. Otherwise, we don't have control over the moisture level or the heat or any of that kind of stuff, and we don't want it to dry out. So here we are in the springtime. Now, I've turned this pile 3 times over the winter, spring, winter, and now it's mostly broken down. This is going to be super rich, guys. This is just what the plants crave. It's what plants crave. Now, here is my favorite method of all. We're going to take the garden scraps. Here's top of the daikon radish, some leftover chard, some peas, which are high in nitrogen. And we're going to layer this stuff sort of just so that we can get it in there. And we're going to put, this is what we're going to use the oak leaves for. So we're going to use oak leaves because they would take a long time to break down. So we're going to put them all on there like this. And then we are going to fire up the lawnmower. Now the lawnmower is going to do for us what 9 months of nature would do for us in terms of the speed and rapidity with which these oak leaves break down. And so we're just going to put all the garden scraps in there. We're going to do like this, and we're going to mow it all in there good so that we're left with this really fine, wonderful source of greens and browns. And we will place this on top of our raised beds. If we have raised beds or containers, you can place this mixture right here on top of your raised bed or on top of your containers, and that's going to be wonderful. The worms are going to love it. The microorganisms are going to love it. Everything's going to love it. You see, we use these methods and we have a bursting soil food web, and everything is thriving. And so here you can see that because of using extensive amounts of leaves and residual crop greens from the garden from the previous years, these plants have everything that they need. And so they are thriving, producing boatloads of stuff all summer long. And that really is the measure, is how well are your plants thriving. But here's the final thing, guys. Here's a warning. When you're utilizing these leaves, plants cannot come up through them. Do you see how thick this layer is like this? These leaves are very thick. So if you're going to plant your garlic, do not put unchopped up leaves over that, because nothing really is going to be able to come up through this. So we have to be aware of that. If we're doing garlic, guys, you want to, that's why I recommend using straw or chopped up leaves, because right about now is the time when we're going to be planting the garlic. So you want to watch my video that I made all about a whole year of garlic, because now's the time. But don't make the mistake of putting a thick layer of leaves on the garlic, because it won't be able to come up through it. So there you go, my friends. If you feel like you gained something from the video, give it a thumbs up. Also, check out all the new links in the description. I redid all the links. There's a link to my Amazon storefront where everything that I utilize in all of my videos is right there in one convenient location for you. And if you want to be growing mushrooms this winter with us, then utilize the links in the description. We're growing the yellow oysters, blue oysters, lion's manes, and check out the videos I did last year. All that stuff's in the description. Also, join our Discord community, guys. Show us pictures and testimonials of your garden. Ask questions amongst each other. The Discord is turning out to be really cool. And that link is also in the description. So, I will see you guys Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time for the live Q&A.